In the year 2378, space was no longer a mystery. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems, building colonies and mining resources from planets that once felt impossibly distant. But with progress came conflict. The United Stellar Alliance, USA, a coalition of Earth-based governments, fought to maintain control over its territories. On the other side stood the Iron Accord, a rogue faction made up of rebellious colonies and mercenaries who believed in freedom at any cost. Captain Leora Vance leaned back in her chair on the bridge of the Odyssey, one of the USA's most advanced warships. Her dark hair was tied neatly into a bun, and her sharp green eyes scanned the holographic displays hovering around her. She wasn't new to command, but this mission felt different. Something about the silence out here unsettled her. They were stationed near Epsilon 9, an abandoned asteroid belt at the edge of uncharted space. It was supposed to be a quiet scouting mission, just a routine check for enemy activity before supply convoys passed through. But the emptiness outside their windows felt heavier than usual, like it was hiding something. "Anything yet, Elias?" Leora asked, glancing toward Dr. Elias Voss, the ship's science officer. He was hunched over his console, his wiry frame illuminated by the soft glow of screens. "Negative, Captain," he replied without looking up. His voice carried a hint of frustration. "No ships, no energy signatures, nothing unusual. Just rocks floating in the void." Leora frowned. "That's what worries me. This sector should have been crawling with Iron Accord patrols. They wouldn't just leave it undefended." Elias finally turned to face her, adjusting his glasses. "Maybe they're lying low. Or maybe—" He hesitated, his tone dropping slightly. "Maybe there's something else out here we don't know about." Before Leora could respond, Ensign Dara Quinn, the communications officer, spoke up. "Captain, I'm picking up faint interference on multiple frequencies. It's not natural. It's almost like someone's deliberately jamming us." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. If they couldn't communicate with command or call for reinforcements, they were vulnerable. "Raise shields," Leora ordered sharply, "and prepare all weapons systems." As the crew scrambled to follow her orders, a sudden flash lit up the view screen. A massive explosion erupted in the distance, painting the darkness with fiery orange light. Pieces of metal and debris tumbled through space, remnants of what had once been a USA destroyer. "What happened?" Leora demanded, standing up. "I don't know," Dara stammered. One moment, there was nothing. The next, it's gone. Leora clenched her fists as adrenaline surged through her veins. Whatever destroyed that ship hadn't fired conventional weapons. There'd been no warning shots, no visible projectiles, just annihilation. And now it was clear they weren't alone out here. "Scan the area," she said firmly. "Find whatever did this. Now." Elias typed furiously at his console, sweat forming on his brow. "There's something out there," he muttered after a moment. "But it doesn't match anything in our databases. Its energy signature is strange. Alien. Alien." The word hung in the air like a bad omen. For years, humanity had searched for signs of extraterrestrial life, hoping for peaceful contact. But now, staring into the cold expanse of space, Leora couldn't shake the feeling that they might have found exactly what they were looking for, and it didn't care whether they lived or died. "Keep scanning," she ordered, her voice steady despite the unease bubbling inside her. "And stay alert. Whatever's out there, it's watching us." Outside the ship, the vastness of space stretched endlessly, silent and indifferent. But somewhere in the shadows, something waited, something no one saw coming. The bridge of the Odyssey was eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of the ship's systems and the occasional click of fingers on keyboards. Captain Leora Vance stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the view screen as debris from the destroyed destroyer drifted aimlessly in space. The sight sent a chill down her spine. Whoever, or whatever, had done this wasn't playing by the rules. "Any luck identifying that energy signature?" she asked, glancing over her shoulder at Dr. Ilias Voss. He was hunched over his console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "It's different," Elias replied hesitantly. "Not like anything we've encountered before. It's almost organic." Organic. Leora raised an eyebrow. "You mean biological? Like it came from some kind of living weapon?" "I'm not sure yet," Elias admitted, shaking his head. "But the readings are inconsistent. Sometimes it spikes, other times it fades completely. Whatever it is, it doesn't follow standard patterns." Leora frowned. This wasn't just strange, it was dangerous. If they couldn't predict how their enemy operated, staying alive would be nearly impossible. She turned to Ensign Dara Quinn. "Dara, can you boost our sensors? Try triangulating where that interference came from." Dara nodded and began typing rapidly. After a moment, she looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, I think I've got something. There's a faint signal coming from behind us, about 10,000 kilometers away." "Behind us?" Leora's voice hardened. "Why didn't we detect it sooner?" "It's masking itself somehow," Dara explained nervously. "The signal blends with background radiation. It's only visible because it moved slightly." Leora clenched her jaw. They were being hunted, and they hadn't even realized it until now. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered, revealing nothing but empty space filled with floating rocks. For a moment, Leora wondered if Dara had made a mistake. Then, slowly, something emerged from the shadows between two asteroids. At first, it looked like a trick of the light, a shimmering distortion rippling against the darkness. But as it drew closer, its shape became clear. It was a ship, unlike anything anyone on the bridge had ever seen. Sleek and black, it blended seamlessly with the void around it. Its surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it nearly invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Strange glowing seams ran along its hull, pulsating faintly like veins beneath skin. It was both beautiful and terrifying. "What is that thing?" whispered Ensign Quinn, her voice barely audible. No one answered. Everyone on the bridge stared in stunned silence as the alien vessel hovered silently, watching them. It didn't fire. It didn't communicate. It simply waited, exuding an aura of menace. "Shields at maximum," Leora ordered sharply. "Arm all weapons systems, but hold your fire unless I give the order." "Aye, Captain." Lieutenant Kelrin, the tactical officer, responded immediately. His hands flew across his console, readying the ship for battle. For several tense minutes, the two ships faced each other in silence. The alien craft didn't move. It just observed, its glowing lines shifting subtly as though analyzing every detail of the Odyssey. Leora felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Was it deciding whether to attack, or was it trying to understand who they were? Then, without warning, the alien ship vanished. 1 second it was there, looming ominously. The next, it was gone, leaving behind only emptiness. Where did it go? Leora demanded, spinning toward Elias. I don't know," he stammered, frantically scanning the area. "It's not cloaked. It's not anywhere." Before anyone could react, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the view screen, 2 Iron Accord cruisers exploded into fiery fragments. The alien ship reappeared briefly, unleashing devastating beams of energy that sliced through their hulls like paper. Entire squadrons disintegrated before the Odyssey's horrified crew. "It's faster than us," Kale muttered grimly. "Faster than anything we've got." Leora gripped the railing tightly, her mind racing. They couldn't outrun it. They couldn't fight it. All they could do was watch as the predator moved effortlessly among its prey, picking them off one by one. "We need answers," she said finally, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "And we'll get them, even if it kills us." Outside, the alien warship disappeared again, leaving behind only destruction and unanswered questions. The bridge of the Odyssey was chaos. The crew scrambled to process what they had just witnessed. Two massive Iron Accord cruisers obliterated in seconds by a single silent enemy. Captain Leora Vance stood frozen for a moment, her mind racing as she tried to make sense of the impossible. This wasn't warfare. It was execution. Status report. She barked, snapping herself and the crew back into focus. All systems operational, Captain. Lieutenant Cal Rin replied from his tactical station. But shields are holding steady at maximum. No damage sustained. Leora nodded sharply, though relief didn't come easily. They were alive. For now. But survival felt less like victory and more like mercy. She turned to Dr. Elias Voss. Elias, can you track that thing? Any idea where it went? Elias adjusted his glasses, his fingers flying across his console. It's gone again, completely off our sensors. Whatever technology it's using is beyond us. It's not cloaking, it's literally vanishing. That's impossible, muttered Ensign Dara Quinn from her communications post. Her voice trembled slightly. Nothing can move that fast without leaving a trace. Well, apparently, this thing can, Leora said grimly. And if we don't figure out how to deal with it, we're next. Before anyone could respond, the alien ship reappeared on their view screen, not close enough to attack, but near enough to keep them in its sights. Its sleek, black form seemed to shimmer faintly against the stars, the glowing seams along its hull pulsing rhythmically, almost like breathing. For a moment, no one moved. The tension in the air was suffocating. Why isn't it attacking? Cale asked, breaking the silence. His hand hovered over the weapons controls, ready to fire at a moment's notice. It's observing us, Leora said quietly, her eyes locked on the screen. Testing us. Testing us for what? Dara whispered, her voice barely audible. Leora didn't answer. Instead, she stepped closer to the view screen, studying the alien vessel intently. There was something unnerving about the way it waited, calm and deliberate, as though it had all the time in the universe. Was it trying to decide whether they posed a threat, or was it calculating the best way to eliminate them? Captain, Elias interrupted, his tone urgent. I think I've found something. Look at this. He pulled up a holographic display showing data streams captured during the brief moments when the ship had appeared. Strange symbols flickered across the screen, patterns that didn't match any known language or code. What am I looking at? Leora asked, leaning over his shoulder. It's communication, Elias said hesitantly, or at least I think it is. These patterns repeat every time it shows itself. It's trying to send a message. A message. Leora frowned. If it wants to talk, why doesn't it hail us directly? Why all the destruction first? Maybe it doesn't trust us, Elias suggested. Or maybe it doesn't see us as equals yet. Cale snorted. Equals. It just wiped out half a fleet. Doesn't seem too interested in diplomacy. We still have to try, Leora said firmly. Turning to Dara, she added, open a channel. Broadcast a standard greeting signal. Audiovisual, multilingual. Let's show it we're not here to fight. Dara hesitated. Are you sure, Captain? What if it interprets that as aggression? If it wanted us dead, we'd already be floating debris. Leora replied, we've got nothing to lose. As Dara worked to transmit the message, the alien ship remained motionless, its glowing lines pulsing steadily. Minutes passed, each one feeling like an eternity. Just as doubt began creeping into Leora's mind, the ship responded, not with words or images, but with movement. It shifted slightly, angling itself toward the Odyssey. Then, a beam of light shot out, striking the edge of their shield grid. Alarms blared instantly, but the impact wasn't hostile. Instead, the beam projected a series of symbols onto their view screen, complex, geometric shapes that rotated and shifted in sequence. It's responding, Elias exclaimed, excitement creeping into his voice. It's attempting to communicate. Leora exhaled slowly, her heart pounding. Maybe there was hope after all. But as she stared at the alien markings, she couldn't shake the feeling that understanding this creature wouldn't guarantee their safety. If anything, it might only deepen the mystery and the danger. "Keep recording everything," she ordered. "And let's hope we're smart enough to figure out what it's saying before it decides we're not worth the effort." Outside, the alien ship lingered, its glowing lines pulsing softly. It wasn't done with them. Not yet. The bridge of the Odyssey was alive with activity as the crew worked tirelessly to decode the alien symbols projected onto their view screen. Captain Leora Vance paced back and forth, her boots clicking softly against the metal floor. The alien ship still hovered silently in the distance, its glowing lines pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. Every second that passed felt heavier than the last. "Anything yet, Elias?" Leora asked, stopping beside Dr. Elias Voss, who was hunched over his console, surrounded by holographic displays filled with incomprehensible patterns. "It's complicated," Elias muttered, rubbing his temples. "These symbols don't match any known language or mathematical system. But there's structure here. Patterns repeating at intervals. It's almost like music." "Music?" Leora raised an eyebrow. "You're saying this thing communicates through sound?" "Not exactly," Elias clarified, pointing at one of the rotating shapes on the screen. "But these sequences could represent frequencies, harmonic vibrations. If we can replicate them, maybe we can establish some kind of dialogue." Leora nodded slowly. "Do it. Whatever it takes. We need answers." As Elias continued analyzing the data, Lieutenant Kel Rin leaned forward from his tactical station. "Captain, even if we manage to talk to it, what happens next? That thing just wiped out half a fleet without breaking a sweat. How do we know it won't turn on us once it decides we're not worth keeping around?" "We don't," Leora admitted bluntly. "But sitting here doing nothing isn't going to help us survive. If it wanted us dead, we'd already be gone. For now, it seems curious, maybe even cautious. Let's use that to our advantage." Before anyone could respond, Ensign Dara Quinn called out from her communications post. "Captain, I'm picking up movement. Multiple ships incoming." Everyone turned toward the view screen as dozens of Iron Accord vessels appeared on the edges of the asteroid field. The Rove faction had finally arrived, likely drawn by the earlier destruction. Their weapons were armed, and their formation suggested they were ready for battle. "Great," Cale muttered under his breath. "Just what we needed. A suicide mission." Leora clenched her fists. "Evasive maneuvers. Keep us out of range, but don't provoke them. And keep monitoring that alien ship. It's the real threat here." The Iron Accord fleet hesitated, clearly confused by the presence of the mysterious warship. Before they could act, however, the alien vessel moved again, faster than anyone could track. In the blink of an eye, it reappeared directly behind two Iron Accord cruisers and unleashed devastating beams of energy. The ships exploded instantly, sending shockwaves through the void. "By the stars," Elias whispered, staring in horror as the alien ship danced effortlessly between its targets. Each strike was precise, calculated, and merciless. Entire squadrons were obliterated within seconds, leaving behind only debris and silence. Leora watched in stunned disbelief. This wasn't just superior technology. It was strategy unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The alien ship didn't waste energy or resources. It struck surgically, eliminating threats with chilling efficiency. "This is insane," Cale said, shaking his head. "We can't fight that. No one can." "No," Leora agreed quietly, her mind racing. "But maybe we don't have to." Turning to Elias, she added, "Keep working on those frequencies. If we can understand how it thinks, if we can speak its language, we might stand a chance. Until then, we stay alive. That's all that matters." Outside, the alien ship continued its relentless assault, reducing the Iron Accord fleet to ashes. When the last enemy vessel fell silent, the black warship paused, turning its attention back to the Odyssey. Its glowing lines pulsed brighter, almost as if it were waiting for a response. Leora took a deep breath, stepping closer to the view screen. "Whatever you are," she murmured, "you've made your point. Now let's see if you're willing to listen." For the first time since encountering the alien ship, hope flickered faintly in Leora's chest. But she knew better than to trust it. Not yet. Survival depended not just on understanding this predator, but on proving they weren't prey. The alien ship hovered silently in the void, its glowing lines pulsing faintly as if waiting for the Odyssey to make the next move. Captain Leora Vance stood at the center of the bridge, her mind racing. The destruction it had unleashed on the Iron Accord fleet was still fresh in everyone's minds, a stark reminder of just how outmatched they were. But now, instead of attacking, the warship seemed curious, observant, as though it was studying them. "Captain," Dr. Elias Voss said, breaking the tense silence, "I think I've isolated one of the harmonic frequencies from those symbols. If we broadcast it back, maybe we can establish some kind of communication." Leora nodded sharply. "Do it, but keep it low power. We don't want to spook it." Elias adjusted his console, and moments later, a soft hum filled the bridge, a series of tones that echoed strangely, almost like music. On the view screen, the alien ship's glowing seams brightened slightly, responding to the signal. It didn't attack or retreat. It simply observed, its movements deliberate and calm. "It worked," Elias whispered, his voice tinged with awe. "It's acknowledging us." Before anyone could celebrate, Ensign Dara Quinn spoke up. "Captain, we're picking up movement again. More ships, this time USA reinforcements. They'll be here within minutes." Leora cursed under her breath. Reinforcements should have been good news, but not now, not when they were dealing with something far beyond human comprehension. She turned to Kel Rin, her tactical officer. "Can we intercept them? Warn them off before they get too close." Kale shook his head grimly. "They're moving fast, Captain. Even if we send a transmission, there's no guarantee they'll listen. And once they see that thing," he gestured toward the alien ship on the screen, "they'll open fire. Then we're all dead." Leora clenched her fists, her mind racing. There had to be another way. Turning to Elias, she asked, "How much time do you need to stabilize that frequency? Can you sustain contact long enough for us to explain what's happening?" I think so," Elias stammered. "But it's risky. One wrong note, and it might interpret it as aggression." "We don't have a choice," Leora said firmly. "Keep broadcasting. Dara, patch me through to command. Tell them to hold position until further notice." As Dara relayed the message, Leora turned her attention back to the alien ship. Its glowing lines pulsed steadily, almost hypnotically. She couldn't shake the feeling that it understood more than they realized, that it was testing their intentions, not just their capabilities. "Lieutenant Rin," she ordered, "prepare decoy drones. Rig them with EMP bursts. If things go south, we'll need a distraction." "Aye, Captain," Kale replied, already working on the preparations. His hands moved quickly across his console, programming the drones to mimic the Odyssey's energy signature. Minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly. The USA reinforcements drew closer, their weapon systems online and ready. Meanwhile, the alien ship remained eerily still, its glowing lines flickering faintly in response to the harmonic tones being broadcast by the Odyssey. For a moment, it almost felt like progress, like they were building a fragile bridge between two vastly different species. But then, without warning, the alien ship vanished. 1 second it was there, watching them. The next, it was gone, leaving behind only empty space. "Where did it go?" Leora demanded, spinning toward Elias. "I don't," he began, but his words were cut short as alarms blared throughout the ship. On the view screen, the alien vessel reappeared directly behind the incoming USA fleet, unleashing devastating beams of energy that tore through their shields and hulls. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, sending debris spiraling into the void. "No," Lyora shouted, gripping the railing tightly. "Cease fire. Stand down." Her voice was drowned out by the chaos erupting around them. The surviving USA ships returned fire, but their weapons had no effect. The alien ship dodged every shot effortlessly, striking back with surgical precision. "This is suicide," Kale muttered grimly. "We can't win this fight." "We're not supposed to," Lyora replied, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "Deploy the drones. Now." Kale activated the decoys, sending them hurtling toward the alien ship. As planned, the drones emitted powerful EMP bursts, temporarily disabling the warship's systems. For the first time since encountering it, the alien vessel faltered, its glowing lines dimming as it drifted motionless in space. "Now's our chance," Lyora said, determination blazing in her eyes. "Boarding parties, prepare to move in. We're going inside." The crew exchanged nervous glances, but no one argued. This was their only shot at understanding the creature that had destroyed an entire fleet and possibly averting humanity's extinction. The airlock hissed open, and Lieutenant Kale Rin led the boarding party onto the alien ship. Their boots clicked softly against its smooth black surface, which felt strangely warm to the touch, almost alive. Captain Lyora Vance had stayed behind on the Odyssey, trusting Kale to lead the mission while she coordinated from the bridge. But even through the comlink, her voice carried a weight of urgency. "Report back every step," Lyora ordered. "And be careful. We don't know what this thing is capable of." "Acknowledged, Captain," Kale replied, gripping his rifle tightly. He motioned for the team to spread out, their helmet lights cutting through the dim interior. The alien ship was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of energy pulsing through its walls. Strange glowing veins crisscrossed the ceiling and floor, casting an otherworldly glow over everything. Dr. Elias Voss adjusted his glasses as he scanned the environment with a handheld device. "This place, it's not mechanical," he murmured, awe evident in his voice. "It's organic, like the entire ship is part machine, part living organism." "Great," muttered Ensign Tessa Hale, one of the engineers accompanying the team. "So we're walking into a giant space monster. Just what I signed up for." Kale shot her a sharp look. "Stay focused. Stick to the plan. Find the central processor, or whatever controls this thing, and get us some answers." The deeper they ventured into the ship, the more surreal the surroundings became. The walls seemed to shift subtly, responding to their presence. Doors opened automatically, revealing labyrinthine corridors that twisted and turned in ways that defied logic. It was as if the ship itself was guiding them, or testing them. "This way," Elias said suddenly, pointing toward a massive chamber at the end of a long hallway. His scanner beeped rapidly, indicating a surge of energy emanating from within. Inside the chamber, they found something breathtaking. A crystalline structure suspended in midair, glowing with a soft, pulsating light. It looked like a heart, its facets refracting beams of color across the room. Strange symbols floated around it, rotating slowly in patterns too complex to decipher. "That's it," Elias whispered, his voice trembling with excitement. "That's the core. It must control everything. The weapons, the movement, the cloaking technology." Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered violently, nearly knocking them off their feet. Alarms blared in their ears, not from their own suits, but from the alien vessel itself. The glowing lines along the walls flared brighter, and the crystalline core began to pulse faster, almost angrily. Guys," Tessa said nervously. "I think we woke it up." Kale stepped forward cautiously, raising his weapon. "Elias, can you interface with it? Extract data before it decides to crush us." "I'll try," Elias replied, pulling out a portable data module. He connected it to the base of the crystal, his fingers flying across the tiny keyboard. "Downloading now. But it's going to take a minute." The hum grew louder, reverberating through the chamber. The team exchanged uneasy glances, their rifles trained on the shifting shadows around them. Whatever the ship was, it clearly didn't appreciate intruders. Suddenly, images began flashing across the walls, not random shapes, but scenes of destruction. Planets burning, civilizations crumbling, entire fleets being annihilated. The message was clear. This ship saw itself as a protector, eliminating threats before they could grow. It's not just a weapon, Elias gasped, still working furiously. It's autonomous, designed by an ancient civilization to eradicate any species that becomes too dangerous. That's why it attacked the Iron Accord and the USA. They were militarized factions, seen as existential risks. So it thinks we're all guilty until proven innocent? Tessa asked, her voice tight with fear. Exactly, Cale said grimly. Which means we need to prove otherwise. And fast. Finally, after what felt like hours, Elias let out a triumphant cry. Got it. Data extraction complete. But as soon as he disconnected the module, the ship reacted violently. The crystalline core pulsed wildly, and the glowing lines along the walls turned blood red. A low rumble echoed through the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. We're out of time, Cale shouted. Fall back to the airlock, double time. The team sprinted down the twisting corridors, pursued by the ominous hum of the awakening ship. Behind them, sections of the wall sealed shut, trapping drones and debris in their wake. They barely made it back to the airlock, leaping aboard the Odyssey just as the alien ship reactivated fully. The bridge of the Odyssey was alive with tension as Captain Leora Vance reviewed the data extracted from the alien ship's core. The crystalline structure wasn't just a power source. It was the brain of the vessel, an autonomous entity designed to eradicate threats on behalf of its long-lost creators. Its logic was cold and absolute. Any civilization that wielded advanced weaponry posed a risk to galactic stability, and therefore it must be neutralized. Captain, Dr. Elias Voss said, breaking her concentration. I've analyzed the harmonic frequencies we used earlier. They're not random signals. They're instructions, almost like commands. If we can replicate them correctly, maybe we can establish direct communication. Leora looked up sharply. You think we can talk to it? Not just send meaningless tones, but actually have a conversation. Elias hesitated, adjusting his glasses nervously. It's possible, but it's also risky. One wrong frequency, and it might interpret our message as hostile. We need to approach this carefully. We don't have time for careful, Leora replied firmly. That thing sees us as a threat right now. If we don't convince it otherwise, we're dead, or worse, humanity is. She turned to Ensign Dara Quinn at the communication station. Dara, work with Elias. Prepare a transmission using those frequencies. Include visual symbols, something simple, like images of peace or cooperation. Aye, Captain, Dara replied, her hands already flying across her console. She pulled up holographic displays filled with geometric patterns resembling the ones observed on the alien ship. Beside her, Elias cross-referenced the data they had retrieved, ensuring each tone matched the correct sequence. Minutes passed in tense silence as the crew prepared the message. Outside, the alien ship remained ominously still, its glowing lines pulsing faintly. It didn't attack but continued to observe, waiting. Ready, Captain, Elias finally announced. We're transmitting now. The signal went out, a series of harmonic tones accompanied by rotating shapes projected onto their view screen. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the alien ship responded. Its glowing lines brightened, and a beam of light shot out, striking the edge of the Odyssey's shield grid. Instead of causing damage, however, the beam projected new symbols onto the screen. Strange, intricate patterns that shifted and reformed into fragmented images. It's responding, Elias exclaimed, excitement creeping into his voice. It's trying to communicate. What does it mean? Leora asked, stepping closer to the view screen. It's showing us something, Elias muttered, studying the patterns intently. These images, They depict planets, civilizations, but they're being destroyed. Fire, explosions, chaos. And then there's another symbol repeating over and over. It looks like a hand holding a weapon, crossed out. It's telling us why it attacks. Leora realized aloud. Anything armed is a danger. Anything militarized is a target. But we're not all bad. Dara interjected, frustration edging her voice. There are billions of people who want peace, who use technology for good. How do we show it that? We tell it about us, Leora said decisively. Turning back to Elias, she added, add more visuals to the transmission. Show it Earth, cities, farms, schools. Show it medical advancements, art, music. Show it everything that makes us human. Elias nodded, working quickly to compile the footage. Within moments, a new transmission was sent, a kaleidoscope of images depicting humanity's achievements and struggles. Scenes of children laughing, doctors healing patients, scientists building machines, and artists painting murals filled the screen. For several agonizing seconds, the alien ship did nothing. Then, its glowing lines pulsed brighter, almost rhythmically, as though processing the information. Finally, it responded, not with destruction, but with curiosity. More symbols appeared on the view screen, forming crude representations of humans alongside abstract shapes that seemed to represent concepts like understanding and coexistence. It's working, Elias whispered, his voice trembling with awe. It's listening. Leora exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. They weren't safe yet, but they had taken the first step toward bridging the gap between two vastly different species. The alien ship still loomed outside, its intentions unclear, but for the first time since encountering it, hope flickered faintly in the air. Keep the channel open, Leora ordered. Let's see how far we can take this. Because if we fail, she paused, glancing at the view screen. We won't get another chance. The breakthrough in communication with the alien warship sparked a fragile glimmer of hope aboard the Odyssey. Captain Leora Vance stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the view screen where the glowing lines of the alien ship pulsed rhythmically. It hadn't attacked since their last exchange, but its silence was deafening. Was it considering their message, or simply biding its time before striking again? Captain, Dr. Elias Voss said cautiously, breaking the quiet that had settled over the crew. It's responding again. On the view screen, new symbols appeared, shapes and patterns unlike anything they'd seen before. These weren't warnings or threats. Instead, they seemed to form a map of sorts, highlighting coordinates deep within uncharted space. What is this? Leora asked, leaning closer to study the projection. It's an invitation, Elias replied hesitantly. His fingers flew across his console as he cross-referenced the data. These coordinates lead to a location near Epsilon 9. There's something there, a structure, maybe even remnants of the civilization that created the ship. Leora frowned. You think it wants us to go there? It's possible, Elias said. Maybe it's testing our intentions. If we follow its directions, it might see us as cooperative rather than hostile. Lieutenant Kale Rin stepped forward. Skepticism etched on his face. Or it could be luring us into a trap. What if those coordinates lead straight into an ambush? We don't have much choice, Leora replied firmly. If we ignore it, we risk losing whatever trust we've built so far. And if we stay here, we're sitting ducks for both the Iron Accord and USA reinforcements. Either way, we're not safe. Kale hesitated but nodded reluctantly. Understood, Captain. With the decision made, the Odyssey set course for the designated coordinates, the alien ship following silently behind them. The journey took hours, during which the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for whatever awaited them. Weapons systems were armed, shields reinforced, and every available sensor focused on scanning the destination. When they arrived, what they found left them speechless. Hidden within a dense asteroid field was a massive structure. An ancient, derelict station covered in the same organic metallic material as the alien ship. Its surface shimmered faintly, glowing veins running along its exterior like scars. It looked abandoned, yet somehow alive. "This must be one of their outposts," Elias whispered, his voice filled with awe. "A relic from whoever built that ship." As the Odyssey approached, the alien ship moved ahead, positioning itself near the station. Moments later, a beam of light shot out from the station, enveloping the Odyssey in a soft glow. Data streams flooded their systems, blueprints, schematics, and instructions for technologies far beyond human understanding. "It's sharing knowledge," Elias exclaimed, his hands trembling as he sifted through the information. "Medical advancements, sustainable energy sources, terraforming tools. It's everything we need to rebuild without relying on warfare." Leora felt a surge of cautious optimism. This wasn't just an act of goodwill, it was a test. By providing humanity with these tools, the alien ship was offering them a chance to prove they could evolve beyond conflict. But the moment of discovery was short-lived. Alarms blared as multiple ships emerged from hyperspace, USA and Iron Accord vessels converging on their location. Both factions had tracked the Odyssey's movements and were now preparing to engage. "Stand down," Leora ordered over open channels, her voice firm despite the chaos erupting around them. "This isn't a battlefield anymore. We've been given a second chance, a way to end this cycle of violence." Her words fell on deaf ears. Weapons charged, and tensions escalated. But before either side could fire, the alien ship intervened, unleashing a pulse of energy that disabled all nearby vessels temporarily. The message was clear: no more fighting. "This ends now," Leora declared, turning to her crew. "Elias, transmit everything we've learned to both fleets. Show them what's at stake, and what we stand to gain if we work together." Reluctantly, the warring factions agreed to meet aboard the Odyssey, mediated by Leora and monitored closely by the ever-watchful alien ship. Peace talks began tentatively, distrust lingering in every word exchanged. Yet, as the recovered technology was demonstrated, offering solutions to decades-old problems, the first seeds of cooperation were planted. Outside, the alien ship loomed silently, its glowing lines pulsing softly. It hadn't left, not yet. But for the first time, Leora wondered if it might stay forever, watching over humanity like a guardian angel or a stern parent ensuring they didn't repeat their mistakes. The peace talks aboard the Odyssey were tense, fragile, and fraught with distrust. Representatives from the United Stellar Alliance, USA, and the Iron Accord sat across from each other in the ship's briefing room, their faces hardened by years of conflict. Captain Leora Vance stood at the head of the table, her presence commanding but calm as she tried to keep the discussions on track. Behind her, Dr. Elias Voss prepared holographic displays showcasing the advanced technologies recovered from the alien outpost, tools that could revolutionize humanity's future. "This is your chance," Leora began, addressing both factions. "The alien ship has given us a gift, a way to move beyond war and build something better. But it won't wait forever. If we can't prove we're capable of change, it might decide we're not worth saving." Her words hung heavy in the air. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, General Mira Solis of the USA leaned forward, her sharp eyes narrowing. "And what happens if we refuse? Do we just hand over control of our destiny to some machine?" "It's not about control," Leora replied firmly. "It's about survival." That ship destroyed entire fleets without hesitation. It sees militarization as a threat. And right now, so are we. If we don't take this opportunity to show we're more than weapons in wars, there won't be anything left to fight for. From the Iron Accord side, Commander Jarek Voss, their leader and namesake, snorted derisively. "You think shiny new tech will fix everything? These tools could just as easily become weapons in the wrong hands." "And whose hands would those be?" Elias interjected, stepping forward. His voice was steady but passionate. "We've spent decades tearing each other apart over resources and power. This technology offers solutions: clean energy, medical breakthroughs, ways to heal planets instead of scorching them, but only if we work together. Jarek hesitated, glancing at his advisors before responding. Even if we agree, how do we know the other side won't use this against us? Trust isn't exactly our strong suit. Leora sighed, rubbing her temples. She knew he had a point. Decades of animosity wouldn't vanish overnight, but they had to start somewhere. That's why we begin small, she said, gesturing toward the holograms. We share these advancements equally. Teams from both sides will collaborate to adapt them for civilian use. No weapons, no secrets, just progress. General Solis exchanged a glance with her officers, then nodded reluctantly. Fine, we'll cooperate, for now. But if anyone tries to exploit this, we'll hold each other accountable. Leora finished, because if we fail, the alien ship won't give us another chance. Over the next several days, tentative agreements were reached. Scientists and engineers from both factions worked side by side under the watchful eyes of the Odyssey's crew and the ever-present alien warship. Slowly, hope began to replace fear. Medical facilities were upgraded using alien designs, curing diseases once thought untreatable. Energy grids powered by sustainable sources replaced outdated reactors, reducing reliance on dangerous mining operations. Even damaged colonies saw signs of renewal as terraforming tools restored barren landscapes into fertile ground. But whispers of dissent lingered. Some within the USA viewed the alien ship as an existential threat, arguing that humanity should focus on finding ways to destroy it rather than relying on its goodwill. Others in the Iron Accord saw the warship as a tyrannical overseer, stifling freedom under the guise of protection. Despite the challenges, Leora remained resolute. Every step forward mattered. Even the smallest victories brought them closer to proving they deserved a second chance. One evening, as she stood on the observation deck staring out at the stars, Elias joined her. "Do you think it's working?" he asked quietly. "Are we really changing?" Leora smiled faintly. "I don't know, but for the first time, I feel like we're trying. And maybe that's enough." Outside, the alien ship hovered silently, its glowing lines pulsing softly. It hadn't left. Not yet. But whether it stayed or departed, one thing was clear. Humanity had been given a choice. The question was whether they'd rise to meet it, or squander the opportunity forever. Months passed, and the fragile alliance between the United Stellar Alliance, USA, and the Iron Accord began to take root. The alien warship remained a constant presence, its sleek black form looming silently in the void like an unyielding sentinel. It didn't interfere directly anymore. Instead, it watched, ensuring that neither faction violated the terms of their uneasy truce. To some, it felt like a guardian angel. To others, a stern parent waiting to punish disobedience. Captain Leora Vance stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, gazing at the view screen as the alien ship orbited a newly revitalized colony planet. Once barren and scarred by decades of conflict, the world now thrived thanks to the advanced technologies shared by the mysterious vessel. Green fields stretched across what had once been wastelands, powered by clean energy grids and irrigated with water purified using alien filtration systems. Humanity was rebuilding, not just physically, but spiritually. "Captain," Dr. Elias Voss said, stepping onto the bridge. "You should see this." He held up a datapad displaying reports from across the colonies. Crime rates had dropped significantly, resource disputes were resolved peacefully, and even factions within the Iron Accord who had once rejected cooperation were beginning to embrace the changes. "It's working," Leora murmured, her voice tinged with cautious optimism. "For the first time in years, we're not tearing ourselves apart." But Elias hesitated, his expression troubled. Not everyone sees it that way. There are still dissenters, people who believe the alien ship is controlling us, stripping away our freedom. Some think we should fight back while we still can. Leora nodded grimly. She'd heard the whispers too. Despite the progress, pockets of resistance remained. Rogue elements determined to reclaim dominance through force. A few weeks ago, A small fleet of rebels attempted to ambush one of the alien outposts, only to be annihilated instantly. The message was clear: defiance would not be tolerated. We knew there would be challenges, Leora said firmly. Change never comes without resistance. But look at what we've accomplished so far. We've proven we're capable of more than destruction. That has to count for something. Elias sighed, adjusting his glasses. I just hope it's enough. For all we know, the alien ship might decide tomorrow that humanity isn't worth saving after all. Before Leora could respond, Ensign Dara Quinn called out from her station. Captain, the alien ship, it's moving closer. Everyone turned toward the view screen as the warship approached the Odyssey. Its glowing lines pulsed brighter than usual, almost as if it were signaling something. Moments later, a beam of light connected the two vessels, flooding the bridge with data streams. It's transmitting again, Elias exclaimed, rushing to his console. These aren't instructions or warnings. It's goodbye. What do you mean, goodbye? Leora asked sharply, stepping closer. The patterns, they're shifting into symbols we've seen before. It's thanking us for proving we can change. And then, Elias paused, his voice trembling slightly. It's saying farewell. The realization hit Leora like a punch to the gut. After months of watching over them, guiding them, the alien ship was leaving. She clenched her fists, torn between gratitude and fear. What would happen when it was gone? Would humanity continue down this path of peace, or revert to old habits? As if sensing her thoughts, the warship sent one final transmission, a series of images showing thriving planets, united civilizations, and endless possibilities. Then, with a soft hum, it vanished into the depths of space, leaving behind only silence. The bridge fell quiet as the crew processed what had just happened. Finally, Cal Rin spoke up. Do you think it'll come back? I don't know, Leora replied softly. But maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe staying meant we weren't ready to stand on our own. Leaving means it trusts us to finish what we started. Outside, the stars gleamed brightly against the infinite darkness. Somewhere out there, the alien ship continued its eternal mission, protecting the galaxy from threats both seen and unseen. But here, among the scattered colonies of humanity, a new chapter was unfolding, one defined not by war, but by hope. Leora took a deep breath, turning to face her crew. Let's get to work. We've got a future to build, and this time, we won't let anyone destroy it. Far beyond the reach of human eyes, the alien ship drifted onward, its glowing lines pulsing faintly. It wasn't done protecting the galaxy, but for now, humanity had earned its trust. Whether they kept it depended entirely on them.